Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another discussion on The Walking Dead. Believe it or not, the ones who live. We gave you guys a full breakdown of everything the first episode, and now we're back for a more Michonne-centric episode in episode 2. I have pretty much everybody back from the first episode. Hate it or love it, the underdogs on top. We're going to talk about it today. Talking about The Walking Dead. All right, I'm going to go ahead and introduce everybody back. What's going on, gentlemen?
Yo.
Hello.
What is up?
Hey, we're back like we never left. Literally, we're actually shooting this back to back. So for you guys, it's like a whole week. But for us, it's like literally they just watched the first episode and watched the second episode.
No regrets.
Yeah, so no regrets from Bizzy. All right, so real quick, from you guys' transition going from episode 1 to episode 2, what were some of you guys anticipating? Were you guys thinking that this was going to be a Michonne-centric episode? Did you guys think they were just going to continue and progress Rick's character? Or more than anything, like how this episode began, did it shake you guys up? I was just really curious real quick.
So, I mean, I think it was pretty clear that they were going to dive into Michonne's, what she's been doing, because obviously it's been a while since we've seen her character as well. And, with the jump from the finale, we knew that she got the new upgraded gear. So it did make sense that we were going to see how she got to this point. To see everyone, all the brutalness, it was pretty crazy. But I am glad that we were able to see just where they did pick up from in the last episode. I thought we were going to have to wait until episode 3 to see where that went. But I'm glad they didn't make us wait too long.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, Bizzy. Anybody else?
Same thing. Like I knew with this one being the Michonne's centered episode, like I knew that what they were going to try to go for was, hey, here's what happened to Michonne, but in the same sense, they paralleled how they paced Rick's episode in episode 1. To them finally meeting. Which I'm not surprised that they had them meet up this quick, and then Rick goes and tells them, "Hey, all right, listen, here's the deal. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, boom, 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 and I'm gonna take you back. But there's rules and regulations to this. We can't go in guns blazing. We can't do the same thing that we've been doing in the main show. We gotta take a different approach to this whole thing."
Nah, for sure. Ronin, what about you? Because again, you don't have any point of reference with any of this.
Right.
You're just along for the ride. So what
This
you
is
anticipate?
wild.
Yeah, I think the first half was fine and all. I think the characters were likable to an extent. I had empathy for them. I thought one of the redhead was a lovely lady, so I was intrigued to where that was going. And yeah, I think my engagement, the thing that was like had my full connection from the first episode, kicked off to when we see the scenario of, okay, the helicopter, the explosion, Michonne, Rick, boom, and how it was going to play off out of that. And then the last 10, 15 minutes of the episode, I was like, boom, I'm engaged going forward. So I'm still intrigued to see this story play out. But again, even without me seeing 10, how many seasons was it? 11 seasons? I'm still, all right, these two have a history, and I feel the connection, and I want to see them get out, but I know it's not going to be that easy, and I know ideas are going to be going in polar opposites, so.
Yeah, because the question is, at this point in time, present day, they're not the same people anymore. Like, they've effectively completely changed. And even in this episode, Michonne almost had to compromise herself to move forward, which is one of the reasons why I'll talk about Matthew's character, Nate, in a little bit. But Jarrell, transition from the first episode you didn't like, transition to this second episode. Did you have anything that you were hoping they would lean towards that they didn't in the first episode?
Not particularly, no. But I mean, I guess for me, it did basically what I thought it was going to do, where it starts with just like this Michonne centric thing, and then we finally catch up to where we left off with Rick at the very end of episode 1. So definitely saw that coming from a mile away. But when Rick showed up, that was nice to see. I can say that for sure.
So for you, anytime that Rick is on screen, you're good. For the most
Well,
part.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. But I mean, for this episode, like, I mean, if you've watched The Walking Dead, it's plain as day, like how this episode is gonna play out for the most part. So, no
He's not
real,
wrong.
no real shocks. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
At
So
this point, it turned into like the other spinoffs in terms of storytelling and pacing.
yeah. So let's go ahead and call it by the numbers. So from the beginning of the episode, we first see this interesting walker that is like surrounded and like tied up with gasoline. And we hear that same little whistling sound that's hitting the walker and it's slowly exploding some in the background. And then one is just finally explodes and then transitions to the title screen, which I thought was really good touch. I think that both openings were really bangers. But the interesting thing with this one is we see Michonne talking to a specific group from if you saw the episode, and I think that this is going to be difficult for Ronin. He didn't see it. Like he doesn't have any context or reference to know how did Michonne end up with these people? Why did she save them? And who is Michonne? So if he'd never seen The Walking Dead at all, I think it's really interesting for him to kind of gauge it. But either way, she kind of has this conversation with the lady and she's like thanking her for saving her sister, but she's trying to talk Michonne into staying and like she's not giving Michonne what she wants. So Michonne, she just wants to leave. She wants the dog. I'm not a dog. She wants a horse to be able to go and dip. And basically the sister with shout out to King Batch. I'm glad he got his just due in this episode. I think it's the second episode he's been in The Walking Dead. It's pretty dope. Even though he had his timely demise by the end of the episode. They finally have a character introduced named Nate, and Nate was like, he went off on, he was like, man, look, bro, like she did her part, give her what she needs. Like, I run this, I'm the person that kind of is like commanding the scenes with this. The reason why I wanted to show you guys this image right here, unidentified objects, he's one of the best actors in this specific movie. Like, he nails it. And so the moment that I knew that he was going to be associated with the show, in the character Nate, I was already completely invested. So that was one of the reason why. If you have not seen Unidentified Objects, definitely going to recommend checking it out. But as far as the transition from that first scene going to meeting him, what were some of you guys' thoughts and conditions on this group? Because I mean, for me, like the whole moment that she saved King Bash and the girl, I mean, it's just Michonne being Michonne, but they kind of added a set layer to it with introducing her to this other group. But it's kind of call it by the numbers of what you've seen in Walking Dead in the past. But go ahead.
My first impression, I thought, again, they're likable characters. I thought Nate was a very likable character. I really enjoyed Nate. He was definitely a fun character. But again, being a Walking Dead vet, the one thing I can always say is never get attached to anytime they bring in a super likable character. You have to really try your best to not get attached, because you just can't. You know how they're gonna go. They always end up biting that dust.
I'm curious, Ronan, for you, did you get attached to Nate in any way? Like, what was your concept of Nate when you first get introduced? Because he kind of comes off really brass, but really smart, and he's got this tick. He keeps working with the lighter, and he just doesn't stop. And we later on get unfolded like why he had the lighter and his backstory with it. But I was curious from your perspective because you don't know the call it by the numbers. What was your take on them?
I think it was just feeling empathy for these folks and hearing their past and where they came from and where they're trying to go. I was full on empathy for them. I don't know. Sometimes it felt like he was talking like this, and you can never expect what he's going to say. That's a choice, and I respect it and all that stuff. But yeah, it was, again, because I'm not used to it. I didn't think all would be gone by this point. But it doesn't surprise me in this world. Much like when you're facing this world with walkers and how much anybody can go like that, doesn't surprise me. And yet I was just like, well, I'm not used to seeing characters that I just meet and I feel already enough empathy for them. So I like that. And the thing with the lighter, and let's just say that by the time it goes to the last shot, I thought I was like, okay, it's a cool thing to tease from the get-go to the very end of the episode.
Yeah, no, for sure. Bizzy, do you have anything, or Jarrell, you have anything to add? Transition to the new characters and Nate specifically.
Well, I mean, I already knew old dude was, he wasn't gonna be lasting too long. I already knew that was gonna happen, but I don't know. I mean, the Walking Dead is really, they're like this all the time, introducing characters. They're like, oh, they're new, they're fun, and oh, whoop, they're not gonna stick around
And they're
long.
dead. Yeah.
Like they do this like so often. Like that was the expectation, more or less what I got. So nothing new.
Bizzy, you got anything?
Yeah, so I mean, I expected them to unfortunately kill off some of these characters. The fact that they killed off the entire group that they were with really did catch me off guard. I mean, it was a possibility in my head, but the fact that they just entirely wiped them out, and the way they wiped them out was extremely brutal,
Yeah.
It was sad, especially when the woman was like, "Yeah, I'm pregnant." I was like, "Okay, yep, she's gone." And I don't know, just the way that literally everyone that wanted to be free and everyone that was like, you know what, like we don't have to follow this woman anymore. They all got wiped out. And the woman, she specifically said in the beginning of the episode, us moving like this keeps us alive.
Yeah.
And it's worked. You may not like it, but it's worked. And the moment they decide to, you know what, we don't have to listen, we can be free, they're dead. So it's like, again, I expected a lot of characters to die, but not that entire group. I think that was just insane. But again, it was sad that we were able to enjoy a character like Nate and then have to watch him, go so quickly. But yeah.
Yeah.
And the last words were pretty brutal too. Like, are you sure that's the same man? Like, are you sure that's him? Like, just making sure, like she knows that, because like the fact that he's riding with the crew, he's wearing the same suits as the crew. It's a scary thing.
Yeah, and because he also reassured her, he's like, "You've made this decision, and follow through with it. Like it's okay. It's okay to feel both ways." And I think that his sentiments with her, like Denai and the actor playing the role of Nate, I think they have really good chemistry because like the small little quiet moments. If other characters tried to do that, I don't think it would necessarily work. But he made his character vulnerable enough that we were able to kind of feel a connection. Mm-hmm. Whereas normally on an outside perspective, what would they have in common?
Yeah.
And I think ultimately what I got from Nate is loyalty. Like devotion and loyalty is, I think, the biggest thing because that was given to him freely by a dad that he didn't think that would actually do that for him. Mm-hmm. So I actually thought his backstory was really touching. But the thing that was crazy is, like you said, like they all were gonna go and rally behind Michonne. Like she's a leader, just much like Rick. She is an A. She's straight up A. She's a savage. And so they were like, you know what? Like we're gonna go and try to help her follow through with it. They actually saved her because initially she went out on a suicide mission to go and get through the whole portal of walkers. And Nate kind of was like, nah, I got your back, homie. Like, and they just explode two different subsections just to divide them out, which I thought was really smart. It shows like how certain groups are able to kind of function. But at the same time, you have to have that safety measure because even though they got all the way out there, I wanted to ask you guys, as far as the military group from the first episode, I think that didn't they talk about this actually happening? The moment that this happened where they were all wiped out, did they talk about this in the first episode? Was there ever a moment? I had to go back and check, but my second time watching it through with you guys, I was like, man, did they actually mention when this actually happened? Because it makes sense why Michonne has so much animosity with them. Because this is just horrific. It's
But
really horrific.
no, you actually seen them. Like you seen those choppers that have like different colored, I guess like different colored like bombs or whatever that they drop. You saw it in the first episode, and you also saw them mention it, like between what was it, Omaha and Portland.
Right. So that's what I was kind of thinking back to, because even when Rick was hearing that, and I think that Donald was talking about it, I was like, I don't know. This is gonna show up later, and that is unfortunately this innocent group. They were just bombarded with it, and I think the thing about it is what Nate said. He was like our lungs are collapsing, essentially. Like our lungs are dissolving from how much this is. But I was gonna ask you guys about how they handled it, because normally we haven't had to worry about like poison gas just killing a whole bunch of people. How did you guys take that for that? You guys are longtime Walking Dead fans. Their approach to that and how they did it. What was your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, again, coming from the amount of times that we've seen like other antagonists from the main show, hell, even from Fear, we've seen them get creative with how they like how people attack people. Season 10 they did something very creative when it came to they made like homemade incendiary bombs, like just out in the woods. The Whisperers did that. In Fear, there were radioactive zombies. So just seeing how, just seeing military just come in with different types of chemical warfare. I mean, different types of chemical weapons. That doesn't shock me.
Yeah. Bizzy, what did you say?
Yeah, I just we got that shot in the trailer, so I knew it was gonna happen. I didn't exactly know how it was happening because like just the to the extent that we saw that weapon, like it's one thing if they're dropping little like gas bombs like one by one, but that was like a whole wave. It was intense. Like I don't know, it was just not only how crazy it was, but like the way we got to see them recover from it all. They were fortunate to have the oxygen tanks, but I mean, I don't know. It was such a crazy moment. It was actually insane.
Yeah, the oxygen tanks and the fact that it took them almost 2 years to recover.
Is that how long it took?
It was at least a year, because we went and them go through
like we saw
winter. Fall.
Winter, to spring, back to fall.
Wow.
Yeah, like she wasn't able to fully recover for at least a year. And the interesting thing about it is she's a strong individual, because for her to defend herself even when she first got hit like that, she's strong. She's real.
And at that point, yeah, I know Rick said we knew Rick wasn't a part of that, that helicopter run, but I don't even think he was a part of like any crew going in helicopters, period, because I'm pretty sure his jump was 8 months. So it was like 8 months after he agreed to finally, get his crap together is when he was on that helicopter. So she was gone for a year. He wasn't even officially a part of that,
Yeah.
like part of the CRM.
Well, he did use the helicopter in other side missions. Like they don't really kind of go into it because they did it really quickly. So I don't know. I my thing is, because this is such a gray area, I wouldn't be surprised if he had, honestly.
Then I would say that the time jumps are the thing that I'm like, I don't know if they're fully landing with me, because I don't know. The fact that it almost felt like it seemed like a year for y'all that like she spent recuperating.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it didn't.
I didn't
transfer
process
to
that.
me.
Yeah, I didn't process that at all.
The same thing with the 5 years, 6 years gap. Then I don't know. Maybe the time jumps aren't working for me.
That's a little different because as with season 9, when he ends up leaving, there's a clear 5-year time jump. So when they did the 5-year time jump, that was kind of solidifying from that moment. But as for the whole Michonne thing in this episode, that kind of threw me off. But I'm pretty sure Rick, when they ended up getting gassed out, Rick on his timeline, if you will, or where he was at, I don't think even attacked the Okafor at that point, because where he was in the helicopter, it said that was 8 years. That was 8 months after the fact. So if Michonne spent a year, and 8 months after the fact is when he got attacked by Michonne. So I mean, like that's what I was trying to get my point across when I was saying that he wasn't even 100% on board with the CRM, because like a year before he ended up getting that helicopter crash was when he was like close to taking his life. He was still on the run because he just wasn't doing it. So I mean, that's what I was trying to that was where I was standing.
Right.
No, that's a good point, Biz. And the truth of the matter is, the only reason why I think me and Eris even noticed it is we started seeing the seasons change in the back.
Yeah, I wish I noticed that.
They focused in on her trying to work out, and you're like, oh, okay, she's trying to work out to build her. Like no,
I didn't see that.
These are seasons that are going by, and she's not even able to do a whole push-up. Like
that makes sense. I'm really glad that's actually really cool, because it's like we always get those training montages where it's like they always do the impossible, but I'm really glad they showed the time go by. I didn't process that because at all, but I'm really excited to go back and see that.
You see it when she was looking out at the glass window.
Saw that. I didn't understand why.
You kept seeing all the different seasons. That's why it was at least a year. It was a year and some change that she spent recuperating, and and who knows, like within that, it just also goes to show you where both of them were and what they've been doing for the better part of 6 years. Both Rick, and think of it this way: in that 6-year jump that they were gone, that they've both been gone, they were both stuck.
Yeah,
they were both stuck. In the position that they were in. Like Rick was stuck with the CRM and Michonne was stuck recuperating.
Yeah. And it's sad because she was so close. She's like, I know where he's gonna be. And the thing I found so, I guess, heartbreaking is when they finally do get there, I think in the back of her mind, she's like, am I 2 years late? Am I a year too late? If I had never gone and done this, would I have gotten there and been, because in her mind, she doesn't know if this man is still alive or not. She's holding hope with the intent. And I mean, transitioning past the point where they kind of recuperate, I mean, he definitely had her back, that she had his back, and they kind of worked it out. Because I thought was pretty messed up is when he was stuck behind the counter and he just kind of lit the counter on fire. That's all he knew to do. Like, he was in panic mode because he was like, that's my comfort, is lighting something on fire. He said it straight up. And thankfully, that was the only thing that kind of kept him alive, because if he hadn't been behind the counter with the fire, they would have got to him. And Michonne, yet again, had to kill or end these 2 lives that she saved, that kind of saved her indirectly. And I thought that was really, it's classic Walking Dead, but I'm not as desensitized because I've been so far removed from it that like that didn't hurt. Like I was like, especially when she had to kill the woman that's pregnant, like I knew for a fact that that's rough, man. Like
because we've seen this in other Walking Dead shows.
Yeah, but I'm saying that I'm not as desensitized because I haven't been with it. It doesn't deter the fact of how messed up it is. Right. That's the thing. I think what I never want to do with watching these shows get too desensitized and like not feeling sorry for the circumstance, because I think that's an easy thing to do. It's a cop out. Like you watch so many freaking shows, you're like, oh, I felt this. I've seen this already. Like no, like she had to end these people's lives because they turned on her watch. And it was nothing she could have done about it, but she still got to feel it because she's a mother herself. She was telling the girl, like, no, you guys get out. Like, you guys leave. And they were like, no, I want to protect you. I want to keep you safe. And the thing is, she told Nate, too. She was like, leave. They didn't leave on time. Please go. He's like, no, I'm not leaving you behind. I don't got nothing else. It's just you. And I was like, dang, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough.
I mean... This is a little bit of a change of subject, but I did want to put it out there because, I mean, I feel like the emotional weight wasn't carrying, specifically with Ronin, for an example. What you don't know, Ronin, is, of course, that, and you probably heard us talking about it, but, of course, when Rick left, Michonne and him were, of course, together, and we did a little time jump. And the thing is, we didn't really focus much on, we focused on Michonne, but at the end of that episode with Michonne, we end up realizing that she had a child. So while Rick ended up, dying, which they assumed was that she ended up being pregnant during the period of when he ended up disappearing. So he has a whole child that he does not know about. So to be able to see them kind of finally be there, and for her to say Judith is fine, and then also try to say that he's alive, or they're both fine, and then for him to draw the question like, okay, is she fine? Because like, I don't know the amount of emotions I was feeling in that moment, because when she started stuttering, he's assuming, okay, maybe Judith isn't fine, but he doesn't realize it's because she's trying to kind of put it out there that they're both fine. So it's
Yeah.
like the emotional weight that was just there in that little piece of dialogue, and she was like, "Oh no, I'll tell you when we're finally clear." It was just a whole nother level of craziness, and I don't know how he'll react to it. Like if he feels as though he does have a kid, maybe he'll be like, "Okay, you need to go out of there. You need to leave while you still can." Because if I go back, then not only is Judith a target, but RJ's a target.
Putting everybody in danger.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like
Yeah.
he's just such a wild card. I don't know how he's gonna react.
I
Yeah.
would have been shocked if after all this time from afar, I see these two couple or a power couple in pop culture that they didn't get it on at some point. I would have been like, these writers are shy of that shit. I'm like, all right. But yeah, it wasn't until there was a flashback shot of the kid. I was just like, that makes sense. And I remember that one of the last things I saw concerning the Walking Dead Prime show was like, I think it was a fast forward, and then you see this little girl. You don't see it, but these walks get shot, and there's a group is saved by this little girl with Rick's hat. She's like, who are you? I'm like, I'm Judith Grimes. He has the little pistol. It's like, little kid, cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because to your point, Bizzy, that's how Rick would react. But Michonne, she's way more volatile. She will burn everyone down.
Yes, that shot.
Everything's protected. Like that's the interesting thing about their relationship. They are so different, but they have this intimate and deep connection. But for her, she's willing to burn everything down. And I think it'll be interesting because if she gets on the same level as Rick, I don't know what this is gonna look like. To be honest with you.
Yeah, because like where he stands, he's willing to sacrifice his happiness so they can be safe. I think Michonne has gone through so much; she's willing to burn everybody else around so she can keep that happiness. You know what I'm saying?
That shot, like that shot of Michonne when she
with the danger.
Not I mean, not just that, just the shot of her looking over, just looking over the entire base, and she's just flicking that lighter. It's just her. She's scoping out the entire base and just going, all right, I can start here and light everything on fire. I can blow up these tanks. I can do all this. Like you just see the gears turning. Like she's just processing. How am I gonna blow all this up?
If we're talking about shots, that shot where Rick is holding the gun to the back of her head, the parallels compared to the first, the finale where we have Rick, putting up his hands when the helicopter is coming, and then he has that big smile on his face, and we're trying to figure out what the hell that was. The same exact thing with Michonne. She ends up putting her hands up because Rick, of course, has the gun on her, and then she ends up having that little smile because she finally found him. It's just like, I don't know. I just thought that was so cool.
Yeah. But I also love that when he starts telling her we have to do this and this and this and this.
Oh,
you can see her face being like, wait, what? We have to do what? And then, after she processed that, she was like, whatever, as long as we're together, whatever, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely their epic love, but it's kind of like at this current time, and now we fast forward a little bit, is the moment that they do kind of sneak away together. Like, he's like, there's a system to this, and I can't tell you everything because I don't want you to get found out. And the funny thing about them sneaking around after all that, it didn't amount to a hill of beans because Jadis is gotten them dead to rights.
Come on.
Like she was in there drinking and was like, yeah, Rick, what you doing, bro?
See,
let me talk to you real quick.
And think about this, though, Sam. Think about this. Now, after Homeboy from episode 1 was like, Rick, I got all the information I need to call you out and air you out in front of everybody if I ever needed to, but I'm not trying to because I'm trying to build you into what you need to be. As soon as he got taken out, my thought was, I know Rick was probably thinking, well, shit, he's probably the only one that knew. So now that he's gone, he's out of
in
the
the clear.
picture. You know,
Right.
we in the clear. We can make this work. Rick, for some reason, seemed to forgot about the one person who actually saved his life, and that was Jadis.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Ronin, the shot, that shot you saw at the beginning of the episode when Michonne said that she was looking for Rick, and you saw him shoot and blow up the bridge. Right after the bridge blowing up, that was the 6-year time jump.
Yeah. But dude, I don't know. So going back real quick, so the moment that Michonne has the moment at the docks and realizes that Rick's not there, there's no way to be able to find him, and basically Nate kind of asks her like, what do you want to do? And she's like, I gotta find him. There's nothing I can do. He's like, it's okay. You can go back, but never forget. And like, you can go back and continue to find him. And I was curious about perspective on his pitch to her, and also her delivery as far as acting, because I think that Denai killed that. I think that was the first time I really seen her for real break down, and it parallels like Rick letting go for real, and her attempts to try to do that on an emotional level. But I was curious y'all's perspective on it.
I can say this from what I've seen of that. Again, the parallels, seeing her break down and knowing that she's given the choice of, yeah, you can forget and, well, you can let it go, but continue to believe that he's still out there and still alive, or you can try to go out there and, find him, and you may or may not find him. Just from her, just from Michonne's perspective, I thought it was interesting how this, this was how she was given the choice to proceed of whether or not she should stick it out or turn around and go back home. Whereas in Rick's case, Rick knew his situation was way more severe. Like, he couldn't leave any more clues behind of him actually trying to find not just Michonne, but anybody from Alexandria anymore. Now that he knew that, oh, they know about it. Like, they know everything there is to know about me. So this is why I have to play this role out. Again, long game.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Him burning, everything, and him trying to kill old Rick was all just this ploy.
What's weird is that the closest I can think of the not going there is Infinity War. Up is no place to die, and then seeing T'Challa fade away. But again, I could see it in that scene, that shot. It's just been years of playing this role, years as Michonne and Rick and all that stuff, and being like, am I gonna finally let go or not?
That's a really good point. So then I know you guys said that the big transition was from leaving that scene to him, well, Nate going and coming up with his contraption to go and start like getting his vengeance. My man's a little evil genius, bro. Like he was like, cock that right, got him.
The aim that dude had, bro.
He put 2 or 3 caps on that Joker, and it went down.
The aim of Hawkeye over here. This man had no guidance system or nothing, and he took down a chopper.
The funny thing is that first shot he did, that was a joint that hit Donald.
Yeah.
He was like, oh man, that one was a dud. Like, nah,
it
was in his body. It just hadn't exploded yet. And so I thought that was a really good callback to the first episode, and I think they transitioned it pretty well from an action standpoint. But I'll let you guys kind of gush from this point forward, because the biggest things that happen from there is we finally get their reunion from Michonne's perspective, and then transition to him letting her know, like, no, like, come up with a different name. Let me give you your sword, give up everything, and I'll find you. They find each other, they kiss, they embrace, and then go into the whole Jada situation. So if you guys can kind of pick apart some of the things y'all liked about those, or anything you want to talk about specific from the moment that they finally meet to the end of the episode.
I mean, their whole reunion was great, but that Jadis moment, dude, the line delivery, I just thought that was fantastic, considering how much she's grown from when we first saw her. Yeah, she was leading the garbage people, but at the end of the day, she was not. She would have never talked to Negan or Rick the way she spoke up to him here. Like she's tried, and then she's quickly got shut down. So it's just, I don't know. It's just really cool to see like how much she's changed as a character, and for her to even threaten, him and be like, hey, like if this happens, I'll even have to bring the fight back to home. And there's even people there that I like, so I wouldn't like to do that. But I don't know. I just really like that moment, considering that we knew we were getting her, and I was just excited to see how much they kind of know of each other, because we know that once they come together as a group, they're probably separated immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know like how much like they were together during his initial where he started with the CRM. But
No,
I love that a lot.
Point. That's a good point. Ronin or Eris?
I'll let Eris go because again, I think it was a cool, again for me, pop culture. I'm like, hey, the team up, cool, they're reunited. But for Eris and Bizzy, this is like what I've felt watching Ahsoka. These guys are probably feeling the same way, if not more. So
trust me, I love Ahsoka. I felt the same shit, man. Fire stuff.
So for me, it was just seeing Jadis again and knowing that her role is definitely going to be, I would say, more properly used within these 6 episodes as opposed to the other show that she was on, but I ain't gonna talk about that. World Beyond. So
it was burned to the ground anyway.
Yeah, it was most definitely burnt to the ground. But having her show up and having her talk to Rick the way that she did, like you said, Bizzy, going back to main show, she would never have really talked that way. We've seen her do some interesting things in the main show where she doesn't necessarily have to convey it with words. It's just her actions that make you go, okay, Jadis ain't nothing to play with. So, right. So like for me, seeing the return of Jadis was dope. Seeing how Rick has to give Michonne the ropes on, hey, this is how we gotta go through this. I mean, we've been through situations before, but this is different.
Right.
Like, this is like 180 different. And which I love the part where Michonne asked Rick, can we beat them? Can we get out of here? She's asking like trying to cover all bases, which all call back to like the first 9 seasons, or I would say seasons 3 through 9 of the main show, of how we've gotten out of situations like this before or survived, odds that honestly should have killed us, but we survived. Like, is this another one of those things or what? And when Rick let her know, like, nah, fam, this is something else. this is something else. The 2 of us, like me and you, even if we had all of Alexandria, stop it. We're not doing that.
We got to play it a different way.
Completely different way. Something one other thing. This kind of deviating, but it's within the Walking Dead universe. Sam, since you watched this spinoff with me, how do you feel knowing that literally across the river, Negan is right there?
Right. I was gonna ask, do you guys? Well, yeah. I'm excited to see where this is going because, truth be told, he is right across the river, and I don't doubt that there's going to be some kind of situation that's going to happen with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Especially considering what's that? Especially considering Dead City, I believe, is getting a 2nd season.
Yeah,
but it seems like one of those things that is too good to be true,
I mean, they ended it.
I mean, they got a 2nd season though, dude. Like, it'd be one thing if they never got a 2nd season, then I would say, yeah, nah. But I think that The truth of the matter is, we don't even know if this is going to get a second season.
Exactly.
I'll say it like this: if numbers talk, money talks. If money talks, because nobody said that we were ever going. Dead City was supposed to be a miniseries too. This would be a one-off. That's it. And I was kind of like, why even do these spinoffs in the begin with? But
the way that they ended the first season of Dead City, it's like they set that up to, you know, just to see, hey, what's the reaction to this? If people like really enjoyed this spinoff and the way that we ended it, we have all the reason in the world to go with season 2. Now, same thing can happen. I believe now that we've only got 4 episodes to go with with this show, I got a feeling they might do the same thing, because almost every spinoff that they have done, you know, especially every character-based spinoff, like between Dead City, Daryl Dixon, and now this, I have a feeling they're all going to have the same type of ending where we're going to leave it open to the numbers, the audience reaction, if we should go forward with, you know, with a second season. Because they could do 2, 3, possibly even 4 seasons with these shows, you know, if they're written and produced and directed well.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing is reception, because if it's received well and it does the numbers, I mean, if I was them, because tomorrow, it's not a rumor anymore. Tomorrow, the premiere, the red carpet premiere for the first episode, I believe, is going to be in LA tomorrow, which is, for everybody else, that's going to be February the 7th. If they're smart, they go from there, and then they give something to boost people up, excited for the episode to drop on the target date during the Super Bowl. They can really make a run for it. And like, they may hit people like Ronin that's never even cared to watch The Walking Dead, just buzz off of the actual show. So I don't know. We'll see either way. But closing thoughts. Let's go ahead and kind of give our ratings and closing thoughts. Ronin, I'll leave it up to you first. Oh, I gotta put this up for Jarrell. I don't know where he went. R.I.P. Jarrell. But Ronin, letter grade rating and closing thoughts on this episode.
Jarrell went to go rescue Rick and Michonne. That's why he had to leave. I would give it a B, maybe C plus, B minus. Again, I didn't dislike this episode or not, but it doesn't have the energy and the firepower that the first episode had. And again, the 3 characters had empathy for them. It's so weird that I keep thinking, yeah, that redhead, she was beautiful, man. It's fucked up. They killed her. And Nate's story with the lighter and all that, I thought, yeah, that's a cool one. But it wasn't until Michonne and Rick reunited, I'm like, okay, I'm in. What's this about? And yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it plays out. But yeah, that's where I stand with it.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's totally fair. Eris, letter rating and closing thoughts.
So for me, this gets a B plus because, you know, again, going off of the previous shows, it's always after the like series premiere or season premiere. Like, once the first episode is done, you know, it always hits you with that, you know, with the crazy action. And episode 2 is always that breather. You know, you get like a nice little breather for like the first 25 to 30 minutes of, you know, of that episode, and then you get hit with like a little bit of action and a little bit of suspense, you know, towards the end. And then that's when things pick up. I want to say by episode 3, especially for this being 6 episodes, episode 3, things going to pick back up again.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. Last but not least, Bizzy.
So, man, again, I thought it was a good episode. I'm gonna give it a B. You know, I think that, again, it was just a lot of info dump. Not only that, we obviously knew we were gonna have to deal with Michonne, and it was great to see her. But, you know, like I said, no hate towards her, but I've waited so long for the whole Rick thing. It's like, focusing on something that I loved, but I just knew I wanted more Rick stuff here and there. But I was really glad they kind of shifted to both of them after, like, towards the end of the episode, because that was a big pick me up for me, at least. It made me enjoy the episode a lot more. But I did really enjoy the beginning, but knowing that these characters weren't going to last long just made it kind of, I don't know. It wasn't something I was looking forward to. I'm like, yo, we're really gonna enjoy all these characters who are most likely going to die, because with 6 episodes, they're not gonna spend the entire show focusing on this many characters that they're introducing. So it was bound to happen, but it was really disappointing that it just played out the same that we were used to. Um, and it just made the first half hour of the episode, I don't want to call it useless, because there were so many beautiful moments, dialogue, a lot of the moments between Nate and Michonne that I really, really loved, but it was just heartbreaking, and it just I wasn't a huge fan of it, so kind of lowered it for me.
Yeah. For me, I rate this at an A-. I've watched this episode actually twice. Second time watching it, I appreciate it so much more. I think the biggest thing about it, if you watch the first episode and then watch the second episode right back, like the first episode is a banger. Like, like you need a week just to process what you got from the first episode, and then go and watch the second episode. So for me, it was kind of like I didn't have the same exact heightened anxiety coming off of the first episode. I was just able to watch this in containment and enjoy it for what it actually is.
That's fair.
And I think the thing about it is, if you think about the first half of this is the first season of Walking Dead. Honestly, like, it was people that you're like, oh wow, this is a really dope character. Like, no, they're dead. Like they're gonna die. And I think that's the thing, that the essence of the show, what it used to be, is you choose to love and hope for something. And unfortunately, like Bizzy said, it's sad. Sadness is a big part of The Walking Dead. It always has been. What we've gotten is a good amount of gratification and payoffs that allowed us to have it sustainable. But I think that with this, it just reminds us of what is actually at stake with all this. But yeah, I agree with you guys. Everything 100%. When Michonne and Rick are together, it's fireworks, literally. Like, they are dynamic, not just from a chemistry standpoint, but they embody these characters so well that no matter who's watching it, they're going to be completely engaged. So for me, it was A-. I think when I first watched it, was like a B or B+. But yeah, it grew on me the second time around. But yeah, so that is our conclusion for our breakdown of episode 2. I'm going to let everybody here plug their content. First up on deck, Ronin.
Yeah, you can find me at Ronin Unchained on YouTube, on Twitter, Threads. If by the time you do see this, I'll still probably be still talking about Star Wars, still talking about Invincible, and most definitely still talking about The Last of Us. And what else would I can tease? Yeah, expect a lot of traveling plans I have for this year, and frankly next year as well, to be covered on the channel. And let's get the channel to 101,000 subscribers.
Man. Ronan, thank you so much for showing up, man. Next up, I have Eris. Where can everybody find your content, man? You are muted, good sir.
Sorry about that. You can find us on Three Black Geeks podcast on Spotify, but honestly, what you really should do is go to threeblackgeeks.com. All of our links are right there on the website.
You heard it here first, guys. The guy that got us back into The Walking Dead. Just foolishness. Hey,
Like,
I'm here. I'm here.
Hey, Sam, abandoning it was a mistake, and I'm glad you have realized that.
Maybe abandoning it was the proper response, so I could appreciate it more. You thought about that?
Nah, you knew what you were doing.
Last but not least, Bizzy. Everybody find your content, man.
Bizzy Broad everywhere, man. I mean, Bizzy Reactions on Instagram. I'm over on TikTok. We're gonna be uploading a bunch of. I'm hoping to transition. We're gonna keep the reactions, of course, but I want to watch a lot more stuff, which means like a lot more reviews, stuff that I can't normally react to. I want to make reviews for, and whether that's short form or not, which means follow me on Bizzy Reactions on Instagram, TikTok. You can find me at Bizzy Braun, and yeah, I'm just hoping to drop more content in general.
Anime. Anyway, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I I can't remember if Jarrell mentioned or said anything in this review, but go and follow Jarrell's Alexandria. I'll try to put his information in the description bar below.
One of the most honest
And
men you'll ever see. Go follow him.
to a fault, yeah. R.I.P. 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 Rick Grimes, like he would normally say. But we're gonna go, guys, until the third episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Got a lot more content coming. Peace, people.
Falling out the top of the
I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on my